I'm very excited to be here, and I'm sure everyone here too is excited. I'm here all the way from Nigeria. I didn't imagine that the trip would take so long, but it took me 24 hours to get here. But I'm really grateful to be here, and I'm glad. So I'm here representing For Youth by Youth. For Youth by Youth is an organization that carried out the innovative tools to expand HIV self-testing, iTest. And I'm happy that everything here is talking about bringing young people on board and HIV, on the talk about HIV. And I'll start this by saying I was 19, 20 when I got involved, 19 years, 20 years, I turned 20 eventually, when I got involved with the For Youth by Youth project. So it's exactly what it is, for youth and by youth. So I'll talk about the background and the approach and how we went about this project, the findings, and then the lessons learned, and then the impacts that we had while doing this. So in Nigeria, the prevalence of HIV is 1.5%, just 1.5%. It seems like a small number. However, when you consider that the population of Nigeria is over 200 million, you can see that that 1.5% is a lot of people living with HIV. And then adolescents and young people account for 7% of the total number living with HIV. And we also realize that the level of HIV testing among young people in Nigeria is lower compared to other African countries. We had other African countries greater than 25%, and that's not the case in Nigeria. So we needed to find scalable, efficacious, and cost-effective strategies along the prevention of continuum that are needed in the HIV space, which support young people in the developmental transitions when such risks arise. So what were the aims of this project? We wanted to develop interventions using crowdsourcing methods and apprenticeship to develop new HIV self-testing services. And then the second aim was to assess the pilot effectiveness. And then the third aim was to use a step-wedged randomized control trial. Let me break this down. First step, there was a crowdsourcing through social media. There was an open call. Young people aged 14 to 24, we need you. Put in your ideas on how can we improve self-testing, HIV self-testing among young people aged 14 to 24 years. And that was the first time I came in. I was a 19-year-old medical student, and I saw this open call. And together with my teammates, we were like, okay, we can put in an application for this. And that was how we got on board this project, through an open call. There were many other young people who got involved at this stage. Not all of them were medical students. We had people from the arts, people from the social sciences, different people, a blend of young people, vibrant young people who were putting their ideas together, different types of ideas, not medically inclined, not even scientific, more of social, and how to get young people on board in this project. And then after that, there was a designathon. That was the second stage, where these ideas were fine-tuned, and the teams were needed to bring the minimum viable product of their ideas, and then they were pilot tested in various communities to see their effectiveness, after which the workable parts of these different interventions were put together in a step-wedged randomized controlled trial tested in 32 different locations in Nigeria to see their effectiveness. So this is what I just explained. This was the process. There was an open call where young people submitted their ideas, and there was a designathon where 13 young teams developed their prototype, after which there was an innovation boot camp where these teams, those who scaled through the designathon, there was a pitching process, where these teams were taught the practical aspects, practical skills to go into the field and implement these different interventions that we had thought about. So these were interventions, ideas coming from young people on how we could help other young people in the communities. After the apprenticeship, we actually did go into the communities for 6 months to pilot test our interventions, different interventions. So my team came up with a social intervention. We used social interventions, social media, parties to reach out to these young people in the communities. And after that, the RCT took place. We just ended this year. The RCT took place where all these different interventions that worked during the pilot were put together in one grand intervention and tested in a randomized controlled trial. So This is just expatiates on it. We use the crowdsourcing method. You can see the crowdsourcing method every December 1st being World AIDS Day. Till today, it still goes on. We call young people from all over the country to bring up their ideas on different concepts on HIV. Tell us, what's your idea? Young people aged 14 to 24, how can we help? How can we hear young people's voices better than we already do? So these are pictures from, the first one is the picture from, okay. The first one is a picture from the World AIDS Day, and then this is a picture from the Designathon. I'm somewhere in this mix, I can't find myself now. And then this is a picture also from the Innovation Bootcamp. So from September 2019 to March 2020, 388 young people were enrolled, mean age of 21.1 years, and 5 different interventions by the 5 different teams were evaluated in a quasi-experimental trial. Like I said, my team was one of the 5 teams, and we implemented in a different place, testing our idea. So we had teams such as the General Billy Vibes, that was my team, using community social events, Better Doc, some other teams who used the lottery incentive approach, different innovative ideas we used. And then so what happened at the end of this? We realized that at the end of this pilot intervention, there was a significant increase in testing for HIV. We also tested for other STIs like gonorrhea, syphilis, hepatitis B, and chlamydia. And there was a significant increase, as you can see from the chart, in the testing of all these STIs from after the pilot study. And then we moved on to the step-wedged cluster randomized control trial. In this randomized control trial, we implemented in 32 local governments, that's in different places, still youth implementers, young people between the ages of 18 and 24 were the ones on the field implementing this project. And we explored whether these crowdsourced strategies can actually increase the uptake of HIV self-testing among young people in this age. What were we testing? A 4YBY bundle. 4YBY stands for 4 Youth by Youth bundle. This comprised of the HIV self-test bundle kits, which could also be linked to a confirmatory testing where you can confirm your results using your mobile phone, STI testing, a photo verification system, and also an offline method of confirmation, which was developed by one of the young people on the project. We also tested a participatory learning community which trained 4YBY youth implementers. This participatory learning community took place once a month among the youth ambassadors, the youth facilitators, and the members, the participants of the study, talking about what worked, what are our experiences on the field, what have been my experiences in testing so far. So this was also one of the things tested in the randomized control trial. And then we also tested the 4YBY peer support and technical assistance, which was also made up of young people, peers supporting the other, the people in the communities who have tested, offering post-testing counseling, pre-testing counseling, and all. And then there were also on-site supportive supervision, mentoring, and feedback. So young people were not left alone. We had adults up there who we could always run to ask questions and to monitor the whole process of everything. What were our key findings? First of all, we observed a high uptake of HIV self-testing. That was the primary outcome amongst young people who, at baseline, we had just 7%. So at the end of this randomized control trial, there was a significant improvement, 75% at 3 months, 86.4% at 6 months, and 84.5% at 12 months. Secondly, we also observed a high uptake of STI testing amongst young people. This was a secondary aim, like I had described before. And then we realized that the knowledge of pre-exposure prophylaxis was very low. We observed very, very low knowledge of pre-exposure prophylaxis and other things as relating to preventing HIV, apart from the normal ones that people were aware of. So what did we learn from this whole process? We learned that listening to young people's voices and championing youth-inclusive research are critical first steps. I give myself as an example. I was 20 years when I started at this. Today I'm older, I'm 25, I'm a medical doctor, I'm completed, and I'm standing in front of people who I ordinarily do not even have access to speak to, talking about what we did in the community. So we realized that having young people champion these things are actually a better way to make young people inclusive and interested. I remember back then going into the communities and telling my peers about our intervention. They were always interested because it's like, my age mate, my mate is coming to tell me about this intervention. I should listen. It's not some older person or someone who thinks they have some kind of authority over me. You know, we can be stubborn at times, trying to tell me what to do or what not to do. And then I also tell them, I have done this, and I think you should do this too. And then sustainability matters for an AIDS-free generation. Like I said, the World AIDS Day program, which started 5 years ago, has continued every year till now and will continue. And it has actually been taken up by the other AIDS the commissions in Nigeria. So every December 1st, there's a World AIDS Day program where young people come to share their ideas and talk about how they can improve HIV self-testing, HIV uptake, PrEP uptake in the country. The ideas gotten from this have been used to develop the guidelines in the country on HIV self-testing and pre-exposure prophylaxis. So sustainability matters for an AIDS-free generation. It's not something we just do 1 year, 2 years, and we stop. How do we do this on? Following this, this project, so many publications and projects have spun off from this. Like I said, over 10 peer-reviewed research manuscripts have been published, of which young people were also included as authors because their contributions were noted. The annual World AIDS Day contest, like I have mentioned, and then the Voice Project, which some of us here might have been part of or might have heard of, which improves crowdsourcing amongst young people. And I'm done, and I want to say a big thank you to my team. Without them, none of this would have been possible. The members of Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, Forest by St. Louis University, and New York University, and everybody whose name is there. Thank you very much.